All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another round of Prepare to Go There. And my name is Peter Birchfield. I'm the host of this self-leadership podcast, and I'm also the creator of the Pioneer the Year course. You have jumped into a phenomenal episode of Prepare to Go There because it is the season 2 finale, y'all. And I am so grateful that you have been just tracking with this leadership journey. We've been talking about how do you lead yourself and stay focused on your future, not just, for an hour or two, but we're talking about the long haul. And so it's been a joy to do this with you. I'm going to keep it really short and introduce kind of a surprise friend, a surprise guest to this conversation. I'm so grateful he made it work out. He's been traveling internationally, and now he is kind of jumping in to encourage us. He has been one of my friends since I was able to have a friend. I think we pretty much grew up together as kids, as best friends, and just kept going. My family and his family go way back, and he's just an amazing guy. He is a leader of leaders. He is fiery in his personality and in his passion, and I learn something from him every day. And one of the biggest lessons I learned from him is to enjoy life, have fun, and go with the flow. So I'm going to bring in John Needham, my wild card for Prepare to Go There season finale. Hey, brother man.
Hey, what's up, Peter, man? It's good to be here.
Well, I kind of, went sappy and gave you like a really nice intro there, but
You did.
why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what have you been working on lately, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, like Peter said, by the way, if you ever need somebody to write you a good biography, Peter, you need to make that a side business where you just write people's biographies for them. That was excellent. We go way back, and originally Peter and our families are connected through ministry. And so I've grown up kind of following in Peter's footsteps and a lot of that. And currently am a youth pastor in Houston, Texas, and just loving all that we're watching God do with this generation, and fascinated by Gen Z. And I claim I'm Gen Z. I might not be. It's debatable, but they're just amazing and a very unique generation. And so really cool to be able to serve them and watch all that's happening with those guys.
Yeah, I love how you said serving this generation, because a lot of people don't see leading as serving. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But tell me, what's one kind of like self-leadership upgrade you've been working on in, the past 6 months?
For me, I think the biggest difference I've seen is in delegating and empowering people. That has been by far the biggest game changer that I have seen personally in my entire life of leadership, or my attempts of leadership, delegation and empowerment of team building has been a game changer. Because there was this one point, so as a youth pastor, the summer is slammed. It's like we finally get like 2 months, 3 months with the kids, where most of them are very available, and you kind of want to capitalize on that. And so I looked at the schedule and all these things coming up, and I was like, there is no way I can do all this and handle all this by myself. And so just taking the risk to empower other people, to team build, to delegate has been a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. And, delegating is code word for trust. And,
Yep.
and so it's learning how to be more trusting and really training the people you work with about the value of being trustworthy. And what does it look like to be trustworthy? We've got to model that. So, hey, before we dive into this conversation, I came across a fresh YP story, and it's kind of a YP fail. And so my wife, Sarah Joy, and I, we got to do youth ministry for over a decade. And then I know you're right in the middle of it too. So this is just kind of a fun little personal connection we can laugh over. But there is a video on TikTok, and apparently this youth pastor had like multiple fails in one night. He was doing a big event, and they were doing like a burning thing where they, basically you have a fire, and whatever is holding you back, whatever's like an idol in your life, you're going to burn it. And so he thought he was going to like inspire the kids to like burn their biggest idol. And so he gets his master's degree certificate off the wall and burns it. And then he instantly regretted it. And then on top of that, I don't think anyone else like followed up and like threw anything else in the fire. And then on top of that, it was indoors, and it was in a venue that the youth did not go hang out in a lot. It was like the kids' wing or something. So it started a fire in the kids' room, started burning up the carpet. So now he's like running around trying to put out the fire. Then he's trying to smooth it over and like keep the vibe, keep the momentum going. So he says, I know what we'll do. We'll do what every YP does, and we're going to play a game. Let's just like have a spontaneous game. So he says, if you finish this challenge, if you do, I don't know, whatever it is, probably like, 100 push-ups or something, then I will give you whatever is in my pocket or whatever is in something. It was his car keys. His car keys were the unintended prize. So then it was the new kid who was visiting, and it's always the new kid. It's never the core kid, right? It's or the core student. It's the guy who's visiting, who nobody knows about, who probably is not going to get plugged in or involved. He takes the car thinking it's his prize. And so he kind of like reluctantly lets him take the car keys. He kind of drives around like, woo, I want a car. And then the youth pastor said like, hey, I didn't mean to do that. Give me my car back. The next like week, the follow-up of that is that the guy's mom got so ticked, went to the church and said, you gave my kid a car and then you took it back. You better give him a car or I'm going to sue. And the church had to like shell out like $3,000 and buy like some kind of car for this kid. And that is a bunch of YP fails all in one night. How does that make you feel?
That is somehow demotivating and encouraging at the same time. I don't know how it is, but that is, you gotta be on your wits.
Yeah, student ministry, just working with students in general, whether you're a coach or an educator, you're in the the school system, or whether you're doing some sort of content creation online, you're doing social media, you never know what to expect. And that's why we need pioneering leaders, because pioneering leaders have the mindset and the skill sets to take on the unknown. They're not intimidated by the frontier environment. They thrive in it. They thrive on improvising, making decisions, rallying people, mustering their best courage. And that's really what season 2 has been about, a conversation about introducing a new breed of leaders, which I'm referring to as pioneering leaders. And I'm grateful for all of the emphasis, like servant leadership and self leadership and visionary leadership and organizational leadership. But we need to put the spotlight on pioneering leadership right now, because we've never been here before. And we're in a climate that, in a context in our culture where we're going to need people that know how to navigate and create at the same time. And so, what have you seen, man? Do you think pioneering leaders are needed right now? And what are some takeaways that you've learned from just pioneering leadership in general?
Yeah, I think it's easy to step into a spot for a moment or for a short season, but I think if your goal is to build something that lasts, or to truly shift a strong culture in any way, you're going to have the humility to evaluate yourself, to evaluate your strengths and weaknesses, and be like, okay, we have to adapt. I have to change. Something different is going to have to come. And so I think in terms of pioneering, in terms of doing something that's never been done before, I think it's synonymous with
Yeah.
with adapting and changing, and being able to change with times, being able to change even language sometimes is something that maybe the message, the heart, the idea is not broken, but the method. It's not the message that has to change, but the method.
Yeah.
And so I think that every high caliber leader that I've come across, I think one of their most notable qualities has been their ability to adapt their methods.
Yeah. And it's not even like a credit to them being so business savvy or so, you know, futuristic that they're just calling all the shots. It's a lot of humility wrapped in
Oh
that as
yeah,
well. They have the humility to go through a season of unnoticed development. They have the humility to wait on something that they carry as a sense of mission and purpose. They have the humility to lean on other people to pull out their strengths and to collaborate towards the greater good. And I think that humility is one of the signature strengths of pioneering leaders today, because visionary leadership is very idealistic and can sometimes be very abstract. But pioneering leadership is boots on the ground, and it's the willingness to go on that journey and to go on it again and again, so that way you're guiding other people in ways you've already been through.
yeah. I would even
Anything
say
else you want to add?
I would just say that from a future perspective, um, Gen Z and the younger generations more than ever are valuing authenticity, and the feeling of relating. Whereas your previous generations have always loved to admire unattainable things and perfect people. Now the value system is shifting back to organic, raw, relatable, imperfect, but genuine. And so that leadership model, any type of pioneering or life changing um, journeys you're embarking on, that has a very short lifespan left to where anybody would even follow that.
Man, so good. Um, I want to hit pioneering leaders for this next generation. Now, we're talking specifically about Gen Z, and I want you to talk about this big initiative you're working on in a collaboration of teams, and it's Gen Z Conf, which I'm super excited about, and I'd love to kind of hear what you are contributing to that project and what you hope for out of it. But let's talk about pioneering leadership for Gen Z specifically, because a lot of us, we're either serving this generation or we're parenting this generation, or we're influencing this generation, or we're trying to, give this generation something that maybe wasn't given to us. Or there's even, entrepreneurs and content creators that are trying to communicate and sell to this generation. And so regardless, we've all got to make that heart connection with this generation. So what are some of the things that you love about Gen Z, and why have you become such a big champion for literally the biggest generation on planet Earth?
Man, this is a loaded question, but I'll do my best. I think, as a believer, I'm just gonna say that I think God has given me a heart for the people, and so for the generation, the things that are quirky about them, I've just fallen in love with. I love their slight socially awkward uh, dynamics. I love the fact that they are doing 90s jeans again and have holes. I love the fact that they wear Crocs and they've made the ugliest shoes in the world cool again.
Yeah.
I love that they do baggy shirts and hats. I love it. So I think God's just given me a love for them, and I really do have just a heart for them. And it wasn't there at first. I kind of started to serve them just out of principle and trying to be faithful and trying to be a good steward, take care of the season that I'm in life. And then it really developed into this deep passion and desire for them to be greater than myself. And so I think that anyone who's going to serve Gen Z or lead the upcoming generations as these guys begin to influence culture in the next 5-10 years, which they already are, for the record.
Yeah.
So Gen Z, the biggest companies in the world are looking at Gen Z. Because if a company wants to survive, they have to look at the future and how to adapt to the next generation. And so Gen Z, they're the greatest currency in the world. Big companies will tell you is Gen Z's attention. It's not even their currency, because they actually don't have a lot. They don't have much right now. They're either broke college students, or they're jobless high school students, or they're like little junior high kids who are just trying to figure out how they're gonna eat. Like they don't have money, but they do have his attention. And so you're looking at a lot of these platforms now. You're looking at your social platforms, TikTok, YouTube. You're looking at these companies where people are actually making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars by simply being watched by Gen Z. So Gen Z makes up a high majority of all your online viewers, and you're seeing people who are living the rich and glamorous lifestyles simply by attaining Gen Z's literal attention, who don't have any money, it's just their attention. So they already are influencing culture. The biggest companies in the world, everyone's fighting for their attention. Everyone's just trying to get them to look at them. So Gen Z is certainly unique and very powerful in that regard. In 5 years, they'll be voting. Most of them will be voting. They'll be influencing government, and they are powerful. So
Yeah, they really are.
number one, I would say I had to adapt myself to get into the digital game.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that our entire world is just skyrocketing. I think we've only scratched the surface. This is my opinion. I think we've only just started to get into how digital and tech oriented our world is going to be
Yeah.
in the future. And I think this is the exact type of thing that you have to be able to be like, okay, something has to change. The method has to change here. We don't have to change the message of what we're trying to achieve, but the method has to change.
Yes.
And so I've had to get onto all these platforms and figure out how can I get their attention. And so Gen Z they're goofy, but they really want authentic stuff. And I think the hardest thing, as I'll close this out, I think the hardest thing I've had to realize with these guys is that the things that are really cringy to you and me and to your boomers and Gen X and all these other generations, the things that they can't stand that are really cringy to them are not cringy to Z and to Alpha. These
Mm-hmm.
guys, it's different. It's a total dynamic shift to where all of a sudden the coolest thing you can do is not be cool.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, because in the past it's always like you be cool, you be chill, you be whatever. Now they don't care, and if you're goofy and not cool, you're cool. And so you have to communicate not how it makes sense to you, but to how they would receive it. And
Yes.
so you have to kind of just find their language and talk it.
Man, that's so good. Um, Guys, if y'all have any questions for um, the notorious John Needham, then please put it in the chat, and we'll try to get to those questions in a little bit. But I want to talk about leadership relationship with Gen Z. And what I mean by that is, what kind of leaders do you think next gen want? Like, what kind of leadership do they are they gravitated towards, and what kind of leaders will grab their heart and will, pull the best out of them?
Uh, you know how your parents told you when you were younger not to believe everything you heard on the internet,
Yeah.
and now all of those people are the ones that believe everything they read on the internet.
Yeah.
It's funny. Gen Z has an innate ability to see what's authentic and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
They have this crazy sixth sense where they can tell, because they've grown up in such a crazy world where everything's trying to get their attention. They
Mm-hmm.
really can. They're not dumb. They really can tell what's authentic and what's not. So I think vulnerability and genuine transparency, even if it's doesn't seem like the ideal situation or the ideal way to communicate, really will go further. Because if you're not real, if you're trying to present yourself to be something you're not,
Mm-hmm.
if not at first, eventually they will see through you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think in the past, this is my prediction. You can save this clip later. In the past, the presidents of our country have all presented themselves as a very solid, strong, almost perfect. That's the idea. Is they try to present themselves as perfect, and you're seeing the trend that it's slightly going more and more raw, more and
Mm-hmm.
more relatable, more and more roll my sleeves up. I'm one of you. I'm not perfect, kind of thing. And I think in the future, I think we're going to see more and more that the people, Gen Z is going for real more than
Yeah.
anything. They want to feel
Yes.
connected.
Yeah. That's so good. Now let's kind of flip it. And what kind of leadership do you see Gen Z bringing into the future? I know you're talking about they value authenticity, they want the real. Um, they're still in formation right now. They're still working on their worldview, their skill sets. I mean, their capacity for creativity and connection really
Yep.
excites me in a kind of scary way because they really are a powerful force, and so I respect that and I admire that about them. But like, what do you think the pioneering leaders of Gen Z are capable of?
I think it's scary. I think
Yeah,
it's absolutely scary what they're capable of. I
yeah,
think people don't have the slightest clue how powerful they really are, and
yeah.
it's why I'm okay with dedicating my life to reach them. Number one, for my love for Jesus, but number two, these guys, the world. If
Yeah.
he's got the whole world in his hands. If the whole world's in God's hands. But I say that a little bit in faith, because in reality, it's very much on our earth. It's in Gen Z's hands. The number of votes they're bringing to the table and the level of influence they have. Look, you would say this is a leadership 101. What is a leader? It's somebody who has influence. So you don't necessarily have to be a good leader to be a leader. You can
Yeah.
even accidentally be a leader. And so you have a lot of these guys who are accidentally huge
Mm-hmm.
leaders. Many of these
Totally.
people, many of these guys, they didn't even really ask for the influence that they have. I'll give you an example of how overpowered these guys really are. What because we have ministry backgrounds. I'll use this as an example. We have churches. Let's just talk about in America. Use America as an example. The average church in America is about 70 members. Um, a mega church is classified as a church with 2,000 or
Mm-hmm.
more people. Okay,
Yeah.
the biggest church, to my knowledge, in the U.S. is Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, and I think they have like 20 to 30,000 members, something like that. Probably more online. Um, I have I have Gen Z youth students who have 10,000 followers on their social platforms.
Wow.
I have kids in my youth group who have more influence and can reach more ears, more eyes than
Yeah.
some of the biggest churches in the world
Yeah.
on accident.
Yeah.
So they are, it's genuinely in a way kind of horrifying how powerful they are. However, if you were to take them and you were to give them purpose and vision, and they were able to take that platform that they have, that I'll never have a platform like these guys will ever. It's just not going to happen. You got the YouTube thing going, but these guys are, they're accidentally world changers, for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
Yeah.
And so we had better reach them.
Yeah. That's so true, man. Um, my sister has just an amazing journey, leadership journey of her own, and the way she's really kind of invested. She's really just like made this amazing investment of her own time and life into just being an empowering parent. And she's got this amazing degree, and she's in child family studies. And I mean, she did all of the high level education, and she's been learning about child family studies and all that. And she basically said something that rocked me. Now I do leadership coaching. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping the emerging leaders be better prepared, more fully present for the changing future that's in front of us. We're going to need more leaders, and those leaders are going to need to be ready for more demands than any other generation before them. So I'm a leadership guy. And my sister, she gets in front of this group, and this is kind of a prayerful moment. And so she's kind of like tearing up a little bit because she just has like such a tender heart. And she goes, "We don't need more leaders. We need more fathers. We need more mothers." And I was blown away by that because statistically, Gen Z is one of the most fatherless generations, and has, I think of this quote from scripture where Paul says, many teachers, many TED talkers, many podcasters, many influencers, but not many relational mentors, not many fathers, not many mothers, not. And I think that Gen Z, as powerful as they are, the irony is that they can, I'm saying this generally, not to poke at anyone in particular, but generally speaking, a lot of Gen Z, they struggle with things like imposter syndrome and helplessness and isolation and just a general lack of empowerment, maybe because they haven't been empowered relationally from a mentor or a parent or a coach, a leader, whoever. So I don't know, that just really floored me, is what kind of leadership are we going to bring, and let's be a champion of the next generation,
Yeah.
and let's be willing to invest deeply. And I think for Gen Z, they have the reach. But, in my context and what a lot of my peers are doing, they really believe it's far better in terms of a leadership investment to go deep with a few than to try to go so wide, and to reach a lot of people at a very shallow surface level. And I just see this. There's this adoptive love. There's this family dynamic, and there's this very close knit community. And I think Gen Z needs that. They value that. I think they're going to create that. And I don't know. That's what a Future Friday is all about. Just kind of going deeper and deeper into the future frontier, kind of thinking about it. I don't even know that there's a good question on that, but if you had anything you want to comment on that, feel free to, and we'll go to the next thing.
I'm all with you, man. I got nothing to add. You said it.
Cool. Let's move on to the next thing, which is, we want to summarize season 2, which is really about pioneering leadership. And so I wanted to, because you're on, bro, I wanted to bring the best insights from the entire season, 20 weeks, and I'm going to just summarize it in about 4 or 5 minutes. And I think it'd be fun. Let me give like the high points, and then you and I can unpack it together. But there's this story. Basically, I want to describe why pioneering leadership matters and how to lead like a pioneer. We have to be thinking like a pioneer because there's only 2 options. If you're looking ahead at the future, you got 2 options. You can see all of the craziness, all of the crisis, and you got 2 options. Either you're going to fear the future or you're going to pioneer the future. And the people that have that go for it mentality are going to be the ones who pioneer the future. And it means that we're going to have to embrace a empowering identity. And I heard this story, and unfortunately, I just can't source it yet. So I guess I'll just kind of take credit for it myself. But there's this story, a parabolic story, kind of an analogy about a young prince who was born and raised in royalty. And one of the perks of being a prince is he never had to walk anywhere. I mean, this guy had it so good that he had people literally carrying him on a like mobile chair, like a mobile throne. And anywhere he wanted to go, they would pick him up and they'd carry him around. And they did that for so long that by the time he became the king, he was paralyzed. His legs had actually atrophied. He couldn't walk because he was being enabled, he was being helped, and it actually made him helpless. And so I think leadership, because I'm listening and picking up on a lot of the leadership conversation, it's something I'm interested in, but it's also something I feel invested in as well to prepare leaders for the future. And I think there's a big misunderstanding about what it means to be a leader. Leadership is misunderstood because most people think it's the ability to get people to do everything for you. If you're a good leader, you are better than, you have high value, your time is more important. And so what you're going to do is just kind of give all the stuff you don't want to do to everybody else. And if you're an awesome leader, then you are going to get other people to do everything for you, which kind of creates this pyramid, mentality of you overpowering other people to get what you want done. When in reality, leadership is upside down. Leadership is different. It's not how you overpower everybody, but it's how you can empower everybody. And it's the ability to empower people to do everything that you do. Are you able to serve others by leading them into the mindsets, into the skill sets, into the life-changing, game-changing things that you have discovered, that you have developed? Can you take that long learning curve that you've been on and shorten it for somebody else? And can you empower people to do everything that you have done in such a way that now you're creating alignment, you're giving empowerment, and then you're bringing people together with encouragement? And that's the new trio of getting people in alignment with shared mission, shared vision, shared values, giving people empowerment to be unique and needed in their own front line, and then bringing together a camaraderie and a collaboration through a culture of encouragement. And when we do that, yes, you can delegate. Yes, you can empower. Yes, you can do all these things, but it's a different motive, and it creates renewable energy for the mission. If you're like trying to just get everybody to do stuff for you because you're too lazy or you're too prideful, then that's going to drain people. It's going to drain resources. It's going to drain forward progress for the mission. But if you flip that and you say, hey, I can't do everything, but what I can do is empower other people in places where I've gotten victory, in places where I've been developed. I can empower you to the extent that I've been empowered. So that's why I want to keep leveling up. That's why I want to keep growing. That's why I want to keep going. So that way I can help you go even further and faster than me. And hopefully we're going to not just have, I heard this quote, not just have great first impressions, but great lasting relationships. And when we have great lasting relationships, we can collaborate and do more together.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to lead like a pioneer, because I don't want to be a burden. I want to be a strength. And I can't afford to think helpless. I have to begin to be helpful. And when I lead like a pioneer, I'm willing to go the distance and make a difference. And so here are the 4 action steps to do that. The first one is you have to go where your best work is. You have to go where your best work is. And you know where your best work is? It's in the future. Your best work, the best books you're going to write, the best events you're going to host, the best businesses you're going to create, it's not in your past, and it's not even in your present. Your best work is waiting for you in the future. And a lot of people are tunnel minded, and they are stuck in a rut because they're just so preoccupied and they're so reactive, and all they do is just feed the attention addiction, and they're just scrolling, and they're missing out on that journey to go take a field trip to your future and do work. Actually go to work on the future. If you know you're going to have a vacation in 2 months, you have the choice right now if it's going to be a level 2 vacation or if it's going to be a level 10 vacation. And the difference between a level 2 vacation, it's going to happen. You've already made the tickets. You're already going. You already got the Airbnb. But the quality of that vacation is still in the balance. And the difference is, are you going to go to work on the future and actually employ some preparation, or are you just going to kind of meander with procrastination? And there's a lot of things, a lot of milestones in life that will just happen. You will graduate from school. You will get your first job. You will find, potentially you'll find and marry someone. You will go through all these little lifestyle moments. But the quality and the intentionality of those moments are waiting for you in your future. And a lot of us don't think we're working on the future today. So that's why you have to, number 2, do the future work now. Do the future work now. What are you working on right now? Not daydreaming. It's not fantasy. This is your real future that's coming at you every day. Every day, the time is still moving with or without your permission, with or without your supervision. Time is coming straight at you, and your future needs your focus now. So you got to put in the future work now. And that is easier said than done. It's probably why more is being said than done, because there is a difference between future work and fake work. Future work and fake work. Fake work is easy. Future work is harder. Fake work is just what feels good in the moment. Future work is intentional. Fake work is, surface level. Future work will require your best, will require your best energy and your most creativity. So know how to recognize the difference between fake work and future work. And here's how you do it. You have to develop seeing what's out in front of you and then seizing those opportunities with preparation. You have to see what's out front, and then you have to seize the opportunity that's out front. And so many times we're just going through life blindly, and we're not keeping track of what's happening in the next 7 days, or what's happening in the next 30 days, or what's happening in the next year, or what could happen beyond that. And I'm not saying worry about tomorrow and make vain promises about tomorrow. I'm saying there's something you can do today. That's the day that matters. Today is the day that matters. And if you take advantage of today and give your future your focus today, it will create a fulcrum effect that leverages where you go and lead one day. So that's why I'm really big on these two things: to have a Future Friday. Future Friday is where you take time to practice future present thinking. And it's where you actually look ahead 7 days and you say, okay, what do I know about? And what do I need to get done? And a lot of people don't even do that. They don't even know how to look ahead and have a level 10 week instead of a level 2 week. And then the second thing you have to do is you have to actually put in that work. And that's where you have a future-focused work session. A future-focused work session is where you say, I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes, or I'm going to sit down for 60 minutes, and I am going to intentionally work on this. And you have focused work. Whatever you got to do. If you got to get offline, off limits, you got to do it. You got to block out the distractions. You cannot settle for the fake work, which is busyness. And you have to do the future work now. And that's where you have a good, productive, future-focused work session. And if you're doing those two things, where you're actively looking ahead, head up, looking at the horizon, looking at the landscape of your life, and then you are looking down, head down, and actually doing future-focused work, because it's hard to get focused, but it's even harder to be future-focused. And if you can do those two things, head up, head down, and not get visionary vertigo, and not get so dizzy with the details of making decisions and getting things done, and making decisions and getting things done, and then you add in the 360 dynamic where you're actually making progress in multiple fronts of your life at the same time, because you're not just some 2D caricature. You're a 3D person in a 3D world. And I know people are going to start acting like, well, what about simulation and all that stuff? But I'm just saying that you got to think north, south, east, west. You got to be thinking about your personal life and your family life and your work life and your passions and your finances. I mean, we're multifaceted people, and we've got to be okay with making progress in more than one direction at the same time. And that can be really tough. And that is why we have to lead like a pioneer. We have to think like a pioneer, because even though we're going through all that complexity inside, there's a lot of changes that are happening in the landscape around us as well. And so we're changing on the inside, the landscape's changing on the outside. It's very difficult to do. I sympathize with that, but I want to promise you, you can pioneer this year. You can go the distance. You can make a difference. and you can learn the mindsets and the skill sets to actually pioneer the future and not just fear it. And you got to figure out, I am not going to live through another repeat year again. I'm not going to go through the same kind of year in my health or in my relationships or in my faith journey or in my work. I am going to turn a repeat year into a new frontier. I am going to get beyond my comfort zone. I am going to push further. I'm going to have an uncommon year because I know how to pioneer. And that's why we have to learn how to turn the cluttered thinking into meaningful insights. We have to turn indecisive waste into fruitful initiative. We have to turn destructive, self-fulfilling prophecies into productive and even groundbreaking adventures. And we have to turn toxic work habits and apathy into stronger working relationships that want to take on uncharted territory as a team. And so I just want to implore you guys, kind of big finale at the end of season 2, lead like a pioneer. Do not stall. Do not procrastinate. Do not say that your preparation doesn't matter just because it doesn't get attention. You will be shocked how much you can grow if you'll really take advantage of your underground time and make your preparation process count, because you really are pioneering in ways that other people will be grateful for. All right, I'm done. John, how'd I do?
You did great. Wonderful. Peter, 10 out of 10.
All right, bro. So what's one thing that stood out, one thing that you say, man, that's worth experimenting with?
Oh, I mean, a lot of things you said were good. I'm actually going to throw it back. My opening line today was about how one of the biggest game changers for me in this past season was delegating and stuff. And that I was inspired from doing your quiz.
Nice.
I don't. What's the quiz called?
Your Pioneering Archetype.
The archetype quiz. I saw it on your website. I saw it was free, so I was like, I'll give that a shot. And it said, I think it was a trailblazer. Right?
Yes.
And it actually mentioned like that was a strength. It was like in like bringing people, leading people, like it was people specific in team building. And I was like, well, that does make a lot of sense, because I cannot do all this stuff right now. And so that already for me, if nothing else, if all the archetype stuff is that accurate as it was for me, that is worth doing for free right after this. But other than that, what you said, going into the future and helping your future self is a major game changing mentality to have.
Yeah, that's so good, bro. And you've made the season 2 finale so fun.
I'm so honored. I love it.
Because I was ready. I didn't quite know. I didn't know if you were still jet lagged or whatever. Because you did a big international trip, and so I was grateful that you were able to slide in and make this happen. But yeah, I do want to. I had the content. I was ready to go, and then when you jumped on, I was like, dude, even better. Let's do it together. Okay, so there are some questions Sarah Joy has compiled, and the first one is, John, how do you become a TikTok star?
I'll let you know when I find out. What's worked for me? I would say for each of those platforms, whatever your platform on is, there is an algorithm you have to understand. You have to figure out, and so they change the algorithms on those things, and so you kind of have to understand the strategy for your platform. So for TikTok is probably the most crazy. That thing is like the Wild West. But
yes. Yeah.
For me, the key has been finding a simple style, a simple like template that works. So for me, because I do preaching videos, I do gospel videos, it's like a 3-second caption big red letter 3-second caption, and then either a 15 or 60-second video where all I say is like hit the copy link button a few times, like share the video, boost the algorithm. Even if 1 out of 100 people do it, it helps. And then I just do the video, and the key is if you do a certain quantity, you have to. So for TikTok, it's about quantity, and so I aim to do like at least 4 videos a day, and you shoot those out, and one of those will catch some traction. And so,
do you batch when you're making all that content, 4 videos a day? Are you batching that, or you're just doing it throughout the day?
Absolutely, I knock it out. So I've gotten to where I can go kind of fast now. And so I can like, if you go to my profile, and you'll see as you scroll through the videos, like I'm in the same outfit in the same setting for like 6 in a row. And so I can knock out like 6 videos in 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So
and then are you editing those videos in the app, or you're kind of like making it off site and then bringing it in?
In the app works the best for TikTok, because TikTok, when you do it in the app, it helps the algorithm use their music, use their stuff, their effects. It boosts it. So keep in mind, people are on TikTok for TikTok. So when you're on TikTok videos do well.
Okay, wait, explain that, because I know that was gold, but some of us are not digital natives like you. So tell us, what does that mean? When you're on TikTok, you're on TikTok.
Okay. YouTube, I'll use YouTube and TikTok for 2 different things. Or rather, I'll use a more extreme. I'll use TikTok and Facebook for 2 different things. So Facebook is kind of like where you share stuff with your friends. And you kind of see how your friends are doing, and it's mostly kind of older people now, and it's like news and like life updates and stuff. So when I go to Facebook has videos, but I'm not really on Facebook for the style of like young goofy videos like TikTok. So
gotcha.
When I'm on TikTok, I would say a mistake a lot of content creators do is they try to bring like the quality, and
they're importing
effort. They try to bring like this amazing like Steven Spielberg, or is it Spielberg or Spielberg?
Yeah, something.
They try to bring this like amazing Christopher Nolan film to TikTok, and it might do okay, but as far as your effort and your time, I promise you'll do better doing 4 simple videos than 1 high quality video.
Yes.
And that's just what TikTok is. It's you scroll, and nobody goes to TikTok thinking that they're gonna see a 4K epic nature film.
Yeah. So you have to know the context, the genre, and really even the workflow. Get strategic about that one platform, and be okay with maybe having the same talking points, but then recreating those talking points in each platform you're interacting on.
That's and YouTube would be completely different. Instagram Reels are similar now, but still different. So the best thing you can do is take the time to learn about the platform and what works on the platform. And what works for YouTube will not work for TikTok. What works for TikTok will not work for Instagram. You won't be an Instagram influencer from TikTok.
Super. And just to personalize this, you can look at something like TikTok. You're either going to fear it or you're going to pioneer it. Look at something like YouTube. You're either going to fear it or you're going to pioneer it. And so it's that willingness to navigate and create as you go. And I think that go for it mentality is what gives us the best results. How do you grab attention when everyone has such a short attention span? I don't know if it's real or not, because it's from the internet, but I heard that the goldfish just passed us up with a longer attention span. A goldfish has like a 8 or 9 second attention span, and now we don't even have that. So how are we grabbing their attention? How are we kind of building depth and making relational connections with our with our crowd here?
Um, all right, that's a multifaceted question.
Well, let's start with the first one.
Attention,
Grab attention.
attention. If you're asking me about ministry, in my profession, um, Jesus has a lot of atmosphere, and so he's well able to keep attention. If you don't have any Jesus, if you don't have any sauce in your service, nobody's gonna care. So there's that. So I would say that for ministry, in a practical sense, um, it's hard to keep a crowd's attention the whole time. It's easy to keep one person's attention.
Mm.
And so if you can find time to find strategies to cut down your audience size, which seems counterproductive in ways, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not, because it's not either or, it's both and more in this thing. So we preach, we reach many people, and then we have to find time to get into these like group mentor settings where
Mm-hmm.
you can look people in the eye and make eye contact. It's easy to hide in a crowd or hide in a mass, but one-on-one conversation is a lot better. So I try to we create small groups, um, environments, little communities where people connect more. You don't connect in a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You can in some ways, but not really. And so you do that for TikTok. You're not gonna keep people's attention, so you have to adapt for media sometimes and realize, okay, what is the attention span? What time do I have? Is it 15 seconds? Is it 30 seconds? Maybe I have to like a simple thing, as funny as it is, I realized that I look high most of the time. Like I look like I'm like on some good stuff most of the time because my eyes are closed most of the time, and I kind of like slur my words sometimes or whatever. So I even realized for things like for TikTok, I have to open my eyes more and get closer to the camera, and be a lot more obnoxious, and more straight to the point with the things I'm saying. And so I think it's just learning to adapt to your audience. And then also, if you're a person who communicates to a big crowd, find a way to get the crowd into smaller spaces.
Mm. Man, that's powerful. Another thing that's really helped me is figure out what like style you are comfortable with and more proficient in. For example, writing versus audio, or audio versus video, and just start there and say, man, do I do better writing? Do I do better speaking or better interacting?
Yeah.
And then, um, are you more of a free flow person, or are you more of a scripted person, or are you somewhere in between and you do an outline? I'm probably more of an outline person where I know the points that I'm
I'm
trying to get
outline.
to. Yeah. And you kind of reverse engineer it. So you kind of start with the big idea and work your way back. Um, that's super good. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Tell me, this summer, what would be one win for you this summer? I know you're working on your like morning routine, and I know you're working on team building. How do we like identify a worthy goal?
Man, that's a philosophical, deep question there. How do we identify a worthy goal? I suppose that would be a subjective.
Well, I'm just saying you've got a handful. I'm sure there's a handful of probably 5 to 10 things that you're like, man, I could get on that immediately, but you're just not going to. So how do you prioritize, which upgrade you're going to work on first? Is it the most
Uh,
immediate? Is it like the squeaky
yeah.
wheel gets the oil, or is there
So
like some kind of thinking process with it?
I know there's different methods and different theories on that. I like to make. I do the box and divide it into four, and I do the urgent, not urgent,
Yeah,
important, not important thing.
that's good.
And so things that are urgent and important are higher on the list.
Nice.
Things that
And
are
I think
not
Stephen
urgent,
Covey created that, so I want to give him the credit for it.
yeah, not urgent, not important is definitely last on the list. And then other than that, I am a person who tends to put urgent but not important over important but not urgent.
Yeah,
So.
that's super good. Okay, John, tell us about ZConf. Is it con or conf?
ZConf.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is we're doing a conference for Gen Z in Houston, Texas, August 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's a free event, and we've got a lot of churches, a lot of groups, a lot of schools that we're talking to, and it's going to be amazing, man. It's a big chunk to bite off, so I definitely am looking for your advisory on how to go about it. But it's
Well, hey, let's end this now. Let's hang on a little bit afterwards, and we can kind of hash it out. But ZConf, where is it going to be, and how do people get involved?
So ZConf is anybody in the world can come if you can get there, but it's Houston, Texas. You can find the Instagram is z.conf, and it's a free event, free to register. It's going to be in Houston. We're going to host it at our church, but we're not putting our name on it. It's just we want to bless Gen Z in Houston, and so we've got a big Gen Z media influencer that's going to be there, Brian Barcelona, with the Jesus Clubs, with over 320 million views on TikTok. It's going to be awesome. And actually, it's going to, the goal is we're going to also talk about that we're doing a Gen Z stadium event in Dallas, Texas. And so we're going to gather, I think, 10 or 20,000 Gen Z and go worship in Dallas. It's going to be amazing. So it's free. You can find the Instagram at z.conf. It's got a website, a link, free registration, info, all that stuff is on it. And we'd love to see everybody there for sure.
Man, this inspires me so much. And John Needham, you inspire me so much. And guys, you got to follow John Needham. He is hilarious. And he is also got a huge heart, big heart. And he's a great leader. I love how he is, learning how to engage with the next generation. He's actually experimenting and trying things. And he's okay with pivoting and changing his strategy as he goes. And I think that is a skill set that we can all glean from. Guys, this is it. This is the grand finale of season 2 for Prepare to Go There. We went 20 weeks straight. We're going to take a strategic pause. That's going to help me celebrate my wife's birthday in a big intentional way, and then it's going to help me really rework the strategy for Prepare to Go There. More to come, bigger things to come. I'm more invested than ever in this leadership community, and I just appreciate each of you, all of you, for being along for the ride. So in the meantime, your homework is you got to take the free quiz like John Needham was talking about.
Do it.
You go
Take the free quiz.
pioneertheyear.com is where you're going to see the quiz and the course. So go to both, and I would love for you to enroll in the course Pioneer the Year. And then there's a lot of free content. There's now over 120 hours of free self-leadership coaching that will help you fuel your future focus. It'll keep you focused on Monday when you need motivation. It'll help you get your clarity when it's time to sit down and be productive. It'll help you figure out how you're going to work on your leadership, on your team, on your goals. It's all in there. Just go check out the thumbnails. And even in these videos, the title might be one big idea, but like this conversation, it is filled with so much gold in different areas. And so just enjoy that. There's still plenty for you to check out. Thank you, Sarah Joy, my main fan. Man, John, she's been on every single episode, watching the live stream of every single episode 120 times.
That's a good wife.
That's amazing.
That's your best subscriber.
Absolutely. So, all right, y'all, stay awesome. I will be back live probably in another form, in another strategy. But I'm really excited about just leveling up with you. And in the meantime, remember, you're going places, but you got to prepare to go there. See you later.